Baron Velavekheim had been away for decades. Exile had been his fate, a life scattered, full of gambling, poverty, and quiet failure. Now returning home, he sought only one thing: Marika, and perhaps a sense that his life has not entirely unraveled. He remembers her, not the woman of stories, not the girl of his youth, but the woman she had become, quiet, steadfast, and a presence untouched by the madness around her. In a town alive with chatter, ambition, and delusion, she endured, not with grand gestures, not with dramatic defiance, but with a subtle power of simply being, of living without illusion. And he, the Baron, weary, flawed searching for some echo of salvation, feels both awe and sorrow. She was never meant to rescue him. She was never a prize to be won. She was, in her silent dignity, the moral compass he had ignored. She was a mirror, reflecting what he had lost, his chance at humility, honesty, and endurance. In her presence, even in memory, he glimpses a life he could have led. One grounded in patience, in moral clarity, in courage to live fully without needing the world to bend to his desires. She is not salvation, she is something rare, a quiet revelation, a testament to endurance, a reminder that even in despair, even amidst chaos, endurance is grace. Every return is a search for meaning. Every homecoming is a question whispered into the silence. Was I ever truly here? Did I ever belong? And perhaps the cruelest answers of all is the one the world gives us in its indifference. That, in essence, is the world of Krasznahorkai's Baron Vekheim's Homecoming, a novel that unfolds like a requiem for civilization itself, a darkly comic elegy where the absurd and the sacred meet in the dust of forgotten town. The story has two central figures, Baron Velavekheim and the Professor. Baron, an aging exiled aristocrat who has spent years abroad, now returns home after financial ruin. He is old, lonely, and nostalgic, coming back not as a hero but as a man seeking one last chance at meaning, especially through the love of a woman he adored in his youth. He wants peace, redemption, perhaps tenderness before death. But when he returns, the town goes mad with anticipation. They imagined his return will bring wealth, prestige, or salvation. Local politicians, clergy, journalists, and social climbers all prepare ridiculous ceremonies and speeches. Baron is treated as a spectacle, not a person. He becomes a symbol, not of redemption, but of town's collective delusion. They need to believe in something. When Baron meets his old lover, the encounter is tender but tragic. They are both too changed, too late. All he finds is disillusionment, that time, love, and homecoming can't save him. His return, which was supposed to redeem, instead becomes a slow unraveling. The Professor, running parallel to Baron's story, is an aging biologist who has retreated from human society. He lives like a hermit outside town, ranting to himself, burning books, building bonfires, and writing treaties no one reads. He has concluded that humanity is a mistake, a destructive, arrogant species that should vanish to allow nature to heal. He dreams of an apocalypse, a purging fire to cleanse the world. The Professor is brilliant but broken, the voice of reason that has turned into madness, the extreme end of philosophical despair. He sees the truth but cannot bear it. Meanwhile, the townspeople, corrupt officials, hypocritical priests, gossiping intellectuals represent a microcosm of modern decay. They live in meaningless routines, craving salvation, but mocking when it appears. The town becomes a theatre of absurdity, grotesque, comic, tragic, all at once. Eventually, events spiral into chaos. Rumors, greed, hysteria, and disillusionment merge into catastrophe. The professor's wish for destruction materializes and the town burns. The world ends not in divine judgment but in absurd farce. No one is punished, no one is saved. The apocalypse feels accidental, almost peaceful. So, what the novel is exactly about? At surface, it's a story of two old men returning or retreating from the world. But beneath that, it's a philosophical allegory about the failure of meaning in modern life. Every institution in the novel, religion, science, politics, love, is hollow. Everyone pretends to believe, but no one truly does. Krasnohorkai is showing how modern civilization has become spiritually empty, living by habit, noise, and self deception. The impossibility of redemption through nostalgia. Baron's return represent our human longing to go back to an imagined purity, love, or homeland. But home no longer exists. Time erodes everything. The past cannot save us. The professor represents the limits of knowledge. He understands the world perfectly and therefore despairs completely. His intellect gives him no peace. In him, Krasnohorkai questions whether human knowledge can ever coexist with wisdom. Like Kafka and Camus, Krasnohorkai shows people acting with purpose in a purposeless world. Their rituals, hopes, and speeches all ring hollow, but they continue because not continuing would mean facing the void. The apocalypse that ends the novel is not punishment, it's truth unveiled. It exposes how society, built on illusion, eventually consumes itself. But even this destruction has a strange serenity, as if the world finally exhausted can rest. Baron's return, seeking peace, but finds only parody. This reflects the human condition. We keep seeking redemption in systems, love, homeland, religion that no longer holds power. The tragedy is not that we fail, but that we believe and keep believing as if meaning still exists. Both Baron and the professor confronts despair. For Krasnohorkai, despair isn't a flaw, it's clarity. It's the recognition that our beliefs and orders are fragile. But instead of offering cynicism, he breaks. How will you live once you have seen through everything? Amidst the madness, there remains the possibility of innocent endurance, what we saw in Valuska earlier. Even when reason collapses, there can still be compassion, small acts of grace, a refusal to hate. That's Krasnohorkai's hidden moral center, purity within chaos. The town is not just hungry, it's the world, our modern society. The chaos reflects our own moment of confusion, truth diluted by spectacles, noise mistaken for depth, technology replacing thoughts. He is holding a mirror to us, saying, "Look, this is what we have become." Finally, when the town burns, the end is not horror but release. Krasnohorkai's apocalypse is gentle, a peaceful ending of illusion, as if destruction were the world's only honest act left. Yet, even in that, there's compassion, the kind that comes when we stop pretending and simply see. Human life is absurd, fragile, and doomed to decay, and yet there is dignity in continuing, beauty in endurance, and a strange grace in the ruins of meaning. It's a novel about returning home and realizing that home, like God or truth, may never have existed except in our longing. But we go on searching anyway, and that search, not its fulfillment, is what makes us human. Baron's real motive is painfully human. He returns not for wealth or power, but to seek out a woman he once loved, the only figure in his memory not yet swallowed by decay. This yearning for one last connection makes Baron's love a last illusion against despair. Marika, a woman he loved in his youth, represents the human tendency to locate meaning in the others. For Baron, she was not a person, she was a myth he created to rescue himself from despair. When reality dispels the myth, he is left with nothing but the truth. There is no redemption in the past. Their meeting is one of those moments with excruciating tenderness. It is not about disappointment, but about recognition. She becomes a mirror, reflecting back his aging, his delusions, and his small, broken humanity. Baron's tragedy is that he realizes too late that all along he wasn't seeking Marika, he was seeking forgiveness. Marika, in her simplicity, in her acceptance of every day, and refusal to romanticize suffering, embodies the feminine principle of endurance. She doesn't seek transcendence, she endures existence. That endurance itself becomes a quiet act of moral superiority. She is not a savior, she is the truth itself. Her presence strips Baron of illusions and forces him to confront what he has become. In her silence, there is a kind of divine honesty. The love story is not about romance, it's about the failure of nostalgia and the futility of idealizing the past. In today's world, where people constantly chase meaning in others, partners, memories, identities, Baron's tragic pilgrimage is timeless. It asks what happens when we return to what we once loved, only to find that we no longer belong there. That question, perhaps, is the most modern and most human of all. This story is not about apocalypse, it is the apocalypse, but not as a divine punishment, rather as a revelation that modern man, obsessed with progress and salvation, has lost the ability to be silent, humble, or truly alive. Yet, within this despair lies a paradoxical tenderness, a sense that even when meaning collapses, the search for meaning is still holy. That's why Krasznahorkai's characters endure. They do not overcome, they endure. In confusion, in solitude, in ruin. And in that endurance lies a fragile dignity. There are stories that end with answers, and then there are stories that end with silence. Krasznahorkai's belongs to the second kind. He once wrote, "We live as if there was some meaning to it all, though we know, deep down, that there is none, and still we cannot stop searching for it." Maybe that is the world tragedy of being human, that the search in itself becomes our meaning. His world is one where truth has died of exhaustion, where civilization performs itself like a tired ritual, where love lingers like a forgotten song in an empty room, and yet amidst the ruins someone still stands, not hoping for anything, not asking for forgiveness, only enduring. Because what else is left to do? Baron's return to his hometown, seeking redemption. The professor seeks reason until it breaks him. The world around them decays and still they whisper, "Everything will be fine." 3 words, simple, hollow, holy. They echo not as comfort, but as surrender, as if the universe itself has grown too tired to argue. Perhaps this is what Krasznahorkai teaches us, that despair and grace are twins, that absurdity and faith shares the same root, and that sometimes to say everything will be fine is not a lie, but to forgive the world for being what it is. Fine, because existence continues even after all illusions are gone. Fine, because perhaps finally there is no need to pretend. In the ashes, nothing remains. No clear lesson, no grand revelation, just silence, and the faint, unsettling thought that maybe this is peace. Krasznahorkai does not give answers. He gives rhythms, repetitions, and a sense of infinite deferral, as if every thought dissolves into the next. He reminds us that the tragedy of meaning is not that it's lost, but that we continue searching, and in that endless search lies a strange redemption. The novel is about the absurdity of existence, the futility of knowledge, and that one last flickering question: can anything still be redeemed? And when the fire has passed, the town was still. The banners hung in ashes, the speeches turned to dust, and in the stillness there stood two shadows, the man who had believed and the man who could not. One whispered, "Everything will be fine." The other did not answer. Both, in their silence, understood the same truth, that there is beauty even in ruins, a strange peace after all illusions burn. The fool and the philosopher, each lost in his own solitude, and finally found what the town had forgotten, that to endure the world's emptiness without turning away is perhaps the last act of faith left to a man. In a world full of noise, social performances, meaning is not given, it is endured. Life is endured, and endurance, even in absurdity and despair, is the highest form of grace. So this brings me to end the narration with one of my favorite lines from the book. He had returned to find something that had long ago ceased to exist. But he did not yet know this. He thought that time might be persuaded, that what had gone could somehow still be there, waiting for him. He had thought his return would change something, that in the simple act of coming back, there might be redemption, but nothing waited for him, only the echo of things that had never truly been. What he saw in her eyes was not reproach, not even sorrow, but the mercy of one who had learned to live without illusions, and that mercy broke him. He began to understand that what he had loved was not a person, but a possibility, and that possibility had died long ago, quietly, without him noticing.